Live to New South Wales Premier Chris Minns, who is addressing the anti-Semitic attacks we've seen in Sydney.
Joined with the Minister for Police, the Police Commissioner, Peter McKenna, the Assistant Commissioner for New South Wales Police, and David Ossett from the Jewish Board of Deputies. We're all here to speak about what were undeniably horrifying scenes in Sydney's east this morning. These are horrifying anti-Semitic attacks. They're violent. I think they've shocked the people of New South Wales and Australia. And honestly, I never thought I would see this kind of naked racism and anti-Semitism repeating itself on the streets of Sydney in such an organised, horrifying manner. It is truly disgusting and against all of the ethos, all of the community sentiment about what living in Australia is all about. And I know that these shameful, violent, appalling behaviour is condemned by the vast, vast majority of people that live in this state and live in this country. I'd also like to acknowledge that the attack this morning on the home and the property in Sydney's east, I think it's reasonable for me to talk about this because it is in the media. That property was once owned by Alex Rivchin, who's the co-CEO of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry. Now, while police can't categorically at this early stage of the investigation say that the attack and the residents are linked, clearly it would be a massive coincidence if they were not linked. And it's very important to say at this early stage of the inquiry that this is an active line of police investigation, that this was in fact a targeted attack. I also want to make the point that I personally spoke to Alex this morning, and so did Peter. And I spoke to him on the phone. Now, I think it's fair to say Alex is obviously concerned, but I was struck by how resilient and strong and absolutely fortified in his commitment to the cause that he's been associated with, to his leadership position on the Australian Council of Jewry in Australia, and his resoluteness. I found it truly remarkable and a true insight into his character, that he is not taking a backward step under any circumstances and he will not be cowed. It was a fantastic example of resilience, and everybody's thinking about Alex and his family at the moment. I also want to make it clear that police are directing a huge amount of resources at this operation. Strike Force Pearl has 20 detectives working on anti-Semitic violent attacks in our community full-time. They are making headway in their inquiries. Just yesterday, they executed their third arrest in relation to property damage offences in New South Wales in November of last year. These attacks in New South Wales will not be tolerated, and those who are perpetrating these attacks will be met with the full force of the law. And as we speak, New South Wales police are hunting down these absolutely barbaric acts and these terrible incidents that have been conducted by people in our community that have hate in their heart. We will increase the law. We will put resources into fighting this crime. We will make sure that the community response to this from the vast majority is overwhelmingly against this kind of appalling behaviour. But the truth of the matter is that incidents of anti-Semitism, violent behaviour, are increasing in our community. And collectively, as a community, as a society, we have to stand together to condemn it unambiguously and send a clear message to these animals that these actions will not be tolerated. They'll be arrested for their activities, for their hate crimes, and this community won't stand for it. I'm going to pass over to the Police Commissioner.
Thank you, Premier. As the Premier has just mentioned, police were called to a premises in Dover Heights just before 4 a.m. this morning, where a home and 4 vehicles had been maliciously damaged. 2 vehicles were set on fire. What I say about that is criminal behaviour conducted by criminals, and you can expect to be tracked down. We will continue to investigate this until they are found and put before the courts. This is another event in Sydney's history, unfortunately, but I'm pleased to say we already have members, people that have been charged for other malicious damage, graffiti, hate crime in Sydney are before the courts. So the message is you will get caught. It's just a matter of time. So you can expect police to knock on your door, look over your shoulder. If you are responsible or you know someone responsible, then you need to call the police and let us know, because we will come looking. No matter how long it takes us, we'll keep looking. We have very strong leads of inquiry on most of these matters that have been reported to police, and we will find the perpetrators. I have with me here this morning Assistant Commissioner Peter McKenna, who is the Region Commander for Central Metropolitan Region that takes in the city and out to the east and down to the southeast, and he can elaborate more on the specifics that have occurred in his area. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. As the Premier said, 20 detectives on Strike Force Pearl. 20 detectives is a significant strike force. They are going back months and months of looking at all of these offences that have been committed, and just this week has shown that we don't give up. We don't just stop after a week in these lines of inquiries. We take them on till we get to the results, and we will continue to do so. Overarching Strike Force Pearl is Operation Shelter. Operation Shelter has now been running since October 8, 2023. Since the inception of Operation Shelter up until today, 179 people have been arrested and charged for over 452 offences. We will not give up. We will follow every lead. We say that this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable in Sydney. It's not acceptable in Australia. We will have every detective that we need, every resource we need to get to the bottom of these crimes. There is a community at the moment who feels under threat. That's not acceptable. Our job in New South Wales Police is not only to keep people safe, but to make them feel safe. We will pivot and surge whatever resources we need to make that happen. I can tell you now, those people out there who are thinking about being involved in this sort of behaviour, we might not come knocking tomorrow, it might not be the next day, but we will come knocking, you will be arrested and you will be charged. So think twice about it. There are people out there who will know something about these crimes. There are people out there who will know who is committing these crimes. We urge you to come forward and call Crime Stoppers. We need the community to work with us. We need this to stop. There are issues happening overseas that are now playing out on the streets of Sydney and have been for some time, and it is not acceptable. We cannot have people who don't feel safe in Sydney, Australia. Our detectives are working tirelessly 24/7. We also have our proactive arm of policing under Shelter working 24/7. We have multiple cars every day doing over 300 taskings in these areas. If we have to increase resources, we will increase resources. If we have to pivot and surge our resources to other areas, we will do that. If we need other areas of the police force to come and join us, they will come and join us. So don't think people are getting away with this, because I can tell you now, this is our top priority as we speak right now when you have a community that feels under siege. It's not acceptable, and we will throw everything at it. I might pass now to the Police Minister to address you.
He's a hard act to follow, isn't he?
Look, can I also just say that these heinous attacks that we have seen on our streets in Sydney overnight are unprecedented and they are unacceptable, and as has just been said, we will hunt you down, we will find you and we will lock you up. What we are seeing on our streets is totally un-Australian, and the New South Wales Police message to the community, the Jewish community in the eastern suburbs and in New South Wales is, we are with you, we support you and we will keep you safe. As you have just heard, the New South Wales Police will throw every resource at this. We are determined to get this behaviour, these attacks, these un-Australian behaviours off our streets, and to make sure that the people in our community feel safe. The New South Wales Police stand with you every step of the way. They are out there, as has just been said, on the streets, patrolling the streets, ensuring the people, particularly in and around our synagogues and our major structures, that they are there, they are looking at you with both eyes. And if you do the wrong thing, you can expect to have the full force of the law, and we will put you behind bars. This is absolutely intolerable. And the community has every reason to stand with us and provide information to us so that we can make sure that we find who these people are and that they can get the full force of the law. I might hand you over to David Ossip from the Jewish Board of Deputies.
Well, thank you so much, Minister. Thank you, Premier. Thank you to the Commissioner and Assistant Commissioner for being here today and for standing in solidarity and support with the Jewish community. All Australians should be sickened, they should be disturbed, and they should be outraged at yet another anti-Semitic hate crime, this time which occurred in Dover Heights. These are scenes we should never see here in Sydney or in Australia. Cars being blown up, houses being defaced, places of worship being targeted. This isn't the Australian way. No Australian should have to go to bed filled with apprehension about hate crimes being perpetrated overnight. No Australian should be concerned with the well-being of their property or their vehicles overnight. There is no room for hate in our community. And it's time to call this out for what it is. This is a campaign of domestic terrorism which is targeted at the Jewish community, which is intended to intimidate, harass and menace our community. And to these hate-filled culprits, these cowards who lurk at night behind masks, who want to intimidate and menace the Jewish community, who want us to be silent, our message is you will not succeed. The Jewish community is resilient, the Jewish community is proud, the Jewish community is unbowed, and together with all Australians, we will stand up to you and you will not succeed.